Penguin Random House Audio presents How to Love Someone Without Losing Your Mind. Forget the fairy tale and get real. By Todd Baratz, LMHC. Read for you by Vikas Adam. Note to listeners. This program includes a downloadable bonus PDF of resources and a key visual aid from the book. Dedicated to my mother and my therapist, Derek, my greatest teachers. Introduction. Get real. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Carl Jung. What brought you here? Let me guess. You picked up this book because you want change. You want to self-improve. And perhaps you're hoping this very book holds all the solutions you've been looking for. You want your life to be better. You want your relationships to be better. You want to have better sex. You want to date better. Better, better, better. Well, I want you to have better everything too. And I don't want you to feel like you're constantly about to lose your mind. So, I am here to help. But don't expect me to regurgitate the worn-out advice about self-love, attachment, or true love, whatever that even means. I will not be handing out another list of life hacks. None of that live, laugh, love stuff. No, ma'am. Instead, I want to give you meaning. A story. Purpose. Community. Solidarity and connection. A deeper connection to yourself and to others. To me. Smiley face. And why? You need it. We all do. Because, let me level with you, life is a wild ride. It is a roller coaster of unpredictability and uncertainty. And love? Don't even get me started. Well, I'm actually just getting started. This is the intro. Love will mess with your head in ways you'd never expect. You will lose your mind. I mean, think about it. The reality of adult love is that it is conditional, inherently uncertain, and fraught with risk. The idea of security is a total illusion, a literal mindfuck. Not to mention this cruel twist of fate. That we are unconsciously drawn to partners who mirror our unresolved issues from childhood. We all unconsciously reenact the past. Some of us go further into these patterns, almost creating a second childhood. But can we be blamed for not knowing any different? Should we be criticizing ourselves for making these mistakes or having regrets? I'd say, emphatically, no to the way. We're all to some extent unhealthy. Like the weather, our relationships and overall emotional well-being are not always a sunshine state. Truly. You're bound to feel overwhelmed at times, as if a storm were raging inside you, pushing you to the brink of madness, only to wake up the next day to clear skies, as if nothing happened. A life in love will, at some point, make you lose your mind. But it will also be your greatest teacher. It was and continues to be mine. About 6 years ago, I ended my 10-year relationship with my partner, Alex. More on him later. Started dating, OMFG, and for the first time in my adult life experienced being single. Suffice it to say, I felt as if I were free-falling without a parachute. When my dates and casual sex partners started asking to connect with me on Instagram, apparently a prerequisite for dating these days, I created an account fast. After all, how could I be a single person without social media? Then I posted a selfie and some art, started following a few therapist influencers, and I was shocked. Biggest gay gasp. It was madness. The information these so-called insta-therapists and life coaches were peddling was nonsense. What they were telling people was totally incongruent with my experience in relationships, in therapy, as a therapist, and as a human being. I saw a lot of overused buzzwords like gaslighting, love bombing, and toxic everything and everyone. But it was the misinformation on codependency that brought me to action. According to the internet, any behavior with a hint of dependence was now under the microscope. Independence and autonomy were being presented as the gold standard of relationshiping. Insta-therapists offered up checklists of codependent behaviors without any contextualization or even a mention that this might not apply to you. My favorites were the listicles, the 10 signs you're codependent type posts that included everything from you're anxious if you don't hear from them to you'd prefer to spend time with your partner rather than be alone to you compromise and forgive too much. Of course we might become anxious if we don't hear from a partner. And I don't know about you, but I definitely want to be in a relationship where I'd rather spend time with my partner than be alone. Hello? Isn't this why we form relationships in the first place? That's not to say you shouldn't be able to or want to be alone sometimes, but the way dependency has been demonized is truly bewildering. All relationships, to some extent, are codependent. Think about COVID-19. If you lived with another person during 2020 to 21, you entered a codependent relationship. But the codependency content online was just the tip of the iceberg. Large Insta accounts were posting diagnostic checklists that had been both oversimplified and wildly expanded. New labels, people pleaser, self-betrayal, trauma bond, higher and best self proliferated, and traditional labels, narcissism, gaslighting, inner child, were being applied far too broadly. I watched as the idea of addiction, for example, was expanded to the point where we can now be addicted to anything, even our own emotions. I was astounded by the amount of posts I found that reframed normal relational problems as unhealthy. As if relationships weren't hard enough, now we have to contend with the idea that we have been gaslit by our partners when we've actually been having simple, relationally healthy disagreements. Are our partners supposed to validate us all the time? No. They aren't, and they can't. We are being gaslit by the content about gaslighting. This was shocking to me. The most impactful aspect of my work as a therapist has centered on helping my clients feel comfortable in their own skin, helping individuals break down the limiting binaries and categories that were forced upon them by family and culture, helping couples stay together or separate with tremendous care. It has not been about helping clients find more ways to label themselves or their partners as toxic narcissists. I wanted to help people embrace their humanity and normalize challenges. Yet, the more I read online, the more it seemed that mainstream thought was amplifying a trend of pathologizing and diagnosing others. Instead of medical diagnoses, we now have cultural diagnoses that label behaviors, thoughts, and emotions as problematic or unhealthy based on social norms, expectations, and prevailing trends. People are selling sickness, and we're consuming it like hotcakes. This has left us in a state of panic, haunted by the idea that there is always something wrong with us or our relationships, always something that needs to be fixed and improved. To combat this trend of oversimplified online insta-therapy, I decided to create my own content. My BFF, Lisa, and I brainstormed Instagram account names, and she came up with "At Your Diagnonsense" from one of our favorite movies, Girl Interrupted. Thank you, at Lisa. The handle made sense for me because so much about our culture's new pop psychology is diagnostic nonsense. The initial content I shared on Instagram was rooted in my own experiences, past struggles of my own, or stories from sessions with clients. As more Instagram users discovered my posts, I started attracting couples and individuals to my practice, all of whom were grappling with issues that mirrored my own. All my clients were around my age, and either couples trying to work through conflict or individuals desperately trying to separate from or maintain stronger boundaries with family members. There was one client whose husband had cheated on her at the same time that my ex cheated on me. I even had a client whose father passed away at the same time as mine. Being a therapist while going through major personal turmoil is a bizarre experience. And in this case, It seemed as if my clients and I were leading parallel lives.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?